In this episode, we talk about Delhi's fuel ban on end-of-life vehicles, which was enforced earlier this month. We also talk about Gujarat's bridge collapse that resulted in the deaths of at least 10 people. But we begin today with Maharashtra, where a reunion that seemed unthinkable for 2 decades has now come through. Hi, I'm Icha Sharma, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. Last week, Uddhav Thackeray and Raj Thackeray, cousins and rivals, for the first time since 2005, shared a public stage and announced that they would work together in the interest of the Marathi people.
आज जवळपास 20 वर्षानंतर मी आणि उद्धव आम्ही एका व्यासपीठावरती आज येतो आहोत. जे माननीय बाळासाहेबांना जमलं नाही, जे अनेकांना जमलं नाही, आम्हाला दोघांना एकत्र आणायचं ते देवेंद्र फडणवीसला जमलं.
आजच्या कार्यक्रमाची घोषणा झाल्यानंतर साहजिकच आहे सगळ्यांचं लक्ष हे आज भाषणाकडे आहे. पण वैयक्तिक मला असं वाटतं की आज आमच्या भाषणांपेक्षा आमचं एकत्र दिसणं हे महत्वाचं आहे.
This was a rare coming together, especially since Raj Thackeray had broken away from the Shiv Sena in 2005 and started his own party just a year later. When we spoke to the Indian Express's Shubhangi Khapre, she told us about the origins of this rivalry.
Since the beginning of the Shiv Sena, both Uddhav and Raj, both were very close to Bal Thackeray, the founder of Shiv Sena. Now, what happened is everybody at that time, given the proximity and also the interest that Raj Thackeray, the nephew of Bal Thackeray, had shown towards politics and public events, there was a perception gaining that he is going to be the political heir of undivided Shiv Sena. But somehow in exactly 2003, Bal Thackeray decided to choose Uddhav Thackeray as a working president of Shiv Sena. And at that time, this decision was not liked by Raj Thackeray. So from 2003 to 2012, Uddhav Thackeray remained as a working president of Shiv Sena because Bal Thackeray was also there and he would oversee the major decisions. But with his ailing health and failing health, ultimately, Uddhav Thackeray started gaining a lot of grip over the party and, taking major decisions. And after the demise of Bal Thackeray in November 2012, in 2013, Uddhav Thackeray became the Shiv Sena party president.
Though Raj Thackeray had left the party just 2 years after Uddhav became the Shiv Sena president in 2003 and went on to form the Maharashtra Navnirman Sena. And Shubhangi tells us that in the years that followed, both the Shiv Sena and the MNS battled for the same political ground, representing the Marathi-speaking sons of the soil, also called the Marathi Manus.
See, in the last 20 years, there have been several occasions when, backdoor diplomatic moves were made. Not very visibly, but there were certain kind of, negotiations or certain kind of you can say messaging from various sectors, various segments of people representing both the parties who felt, at some point the two should join together. They should work together for the larger interest of Marathi Manus, for the welfare of the sons of the soil, the welfare of the natives, basically the Bhumiputras of Maharashtra, whose issues are not being represented adequately by the pan-Indian parties like, say, BJP or Congress, or even the other regional parties are not adequately representing them. And given the historical background, given the grooming Raj and Uddhav Thackeray had from Bal Thackeray, so that Marathi cause was central to their development as individuals as well as their politics. So there were subtle noises made, from diverse fields, and well-wishers that, they should come together. But somehow they never came. Not only came, they also worked against each other in the sense that Raj Thackeray in some successive elections, whether it was BMC elections in 2009 or assembly elections, he always fielded his candidates in such a way, or it so happened that, he would always cut into the Marathi votes, because the Marathi votes would get divided between Shiv Sena led by Uddhav Thackeray and MNS led by Raj Thackeray. So they always worked at cross purposes against each other. And that had at times given advantage in knowingly or unknowingly to the main parties, basically Congress and BJP in Maharashtra politics.
In fact, in the 2024 Maharashtra Assembly elections, the BJP emerged as the dominant force in the state, winning 132 out of 288 seats. This was when Uddhav Thackre's Shiv Sena was reduced to just 20 MLAs, while Raj Thackre's MNS fared even worse, failing to win a single seat, with its vote share dropping below 2%. Shubhangi points out that after this result, and with the crucial BMC elections coming up later this year, both cousins now stand at crossroads in state politics.
So it's like both the brothers, Raj Thackeray and Uddhav Thackeray, they are facing a political crisis as far as keeping the organization intact is concerned. And with the BMC elections, the local bodies elections in Maharashtra, likely this year in October, November, both have realized that they have to do something drastic to retain their own identity as leader, and also they have to kind of put their respective party in order. And to hold on to their organization, they have to do something so drastic, so different that, it reposes a faith in the people, in the masses, that yes, they are actually taking up their cause. They are going to champion their issues that concern the sons of the soil, that concern the natives of Maharashtra, the natives of Mumbai. And I think keeping that in mind, and it's also a battle for survival at the end of it. I think looking at the politics that has emerged, looking at the circumstances that are thrown at them, I think the two cousins have, at this moment, taken a decision to come together, set aside their differences, set aside their personal egos, which were huge. And that was one of the reasons why they remained separate for 20 years. But keeping everything aside, they have now taken a decision to join hands and work together. So the Saturday event, that was a victory rally, joint rally held in Mumbai, Worli, both of them in their speeches, they addressed each other as honorable leaders. And they assured, they at least took the first giant step to give the message that yes, we are here to work together, and we want to work together not for the power and politics, but for the larger welfare of Marathi Manus.
But an existential threat wasn't the only reason the two cousins finally came together. Shubhangi says the decision was also influenced by a recent move by the Maharashtra government regarding the three-language policy.
See, what happened in Maharashtra is Maharashtra government took a decision to impose Hindi from class 1 in state schools. Now that decision invited lot of anger, lot of rejection from various quarters, not just MNS and Uddhav Thackeray's Shiv Sena.
The move was widely seen by regional parties as an attempt to push Hindi and North Indian cultural priorities over local languages and identity. Protests led by both the Shiv Sena UBT and the MNS and echoed by Sharad Pawar's NCP-SP and the Congress eventually forced the government to reverse its decision, giving the cousins their first shared political victory in years.
Now, unlike southern states, Maharashtra was never seen as anti-Hindi. Maharashtra has never been opposed to Hindi language as such, because there is a region called Vidarbha and Marathwada. Now, Marathwada and Vidarbha region is known for majority of the population speaking Hindi language. So after the creation of Maharashtra on May 1st, 1960, Vidarbha and Marathwada region continued with this Hindi language, though they have Marathi as the mother tongue. But when the ruling party led by BJP tried to make Hindi mandatory in the first resolution, it was seen by regional parties here in Maharashtra as a diktat from center. And they felt that the center is trying to thrust a language on them without taking them into adequate consultation or without even considering their viewpoint. And that's where they kind of gave a call for agitation. Now, of course, when the state government led by Devendra Fadnavis realized it's going to become a big issue and it's going to strike a chord with the natives, they immediately revoked that decision. And they came up with this explanation. When the decisions was revoked, he revoked both the resolutions of April 16 and June 17. And he kind of reassured that by saying that we set up a new committee led by Dr. Narendra Jadhav, and which will relook at this issue afresh. And all the decisions will be taken, keeping the welfare and interest of the state as well as the students in mind.
Now, when talking about this recent decision, Shubhangi says it may also have been a strategic move by the BJP to keep its vote bank of North Indians and Gujaratis intact and prevent it from shifting towards the Congress, especially at a time when the opposition has accused the BJP of undermining Maharashtra's economic strength by moving major projects like Vedanta Foxconn and even Tata Airbus to Gujarat.
See, Mumbai as a financial capital of India was chosen by not only BJP but also the Congress. It was decided way back in early 2000 that, Mumbai is going to become the International Financial Services Center. And in his first tenure as Chief Minister, Devendra Fadnavis put up a very robust team which worked very hard with the center, to kind of take this agenda of making Mumbai the International Financial Center ahead. But what happened is, in the meantime, Gujarat came up with this gift city. And that was seen as a first sign of a central leadership that is led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Union Minister or Home Minister Amit Shah as a move to undermine Mumbai's international financial project.
She says the move upset not just the opposition in the state, but also members within the BJP's own Maharashtra unit.
Of course, there are many explanations given by Fadnavis himself saying that, the Congress itself has to be blamed why the International Financial Services Center was lagging behind. And there's some truth in that also. But subsequently, you also saw Vedanta Foxconn, the semiconductor project, worth 1.5 lakh crores, which was actually perceived to be a project for Maharashtra, which was relocated to Gujarat. And the timing was such that, the project relocation took place ahead of the Gujarat Assembly elections. And that was the first sign where the entire opposition united, the regional parties as well as the pan-Indian parties like Congress, they united together and started perceiving central leadership as against Maharashtra or according stepmotherly treatment to Maharashtra and Mumbai.
So when you combine this with the recent decision on the three-language formula, it gave Raj and Uddhav Thackeray a fresh reason to bring the Marathi Manus issue back into focus.
And we'll have to see how it will play out, how things will polarize, what kind of new permutations and combinations emerge on this issue, how the regional parties, whether they actually, now they have come together, but whether they really are able to work together. Because see, coming together on a stage is one thing, but when it comes to the seat sharing formula, when it comes to how the power share will happen and who is going to lead what, all these are the greater details which they will also have to kind of work out. And there's going to be a lot of action, rest assured, in Maharashtra in coming days.
And next we turn to Delhi, which began enforcing a fuel ban on end-of-life vehicles earlier this month. Diesel vehicles older than 10 years and petrol vehicles over 15 years, both major sources of vehicular pollution, were no longer allowed to refuel at fuel stations in the capital. But just a couple of days into the implementation, the ban was deferred to the 1st of November. This came after a request by Delhi's Environment Minister Manjinder Singh Sirsa to the Commission of Air Quality Management, the capital's air quality watchdog, during which he cited technological and cross-border fueling concerns. So to understand why the government introduced the fuel ban in the first place and why it's now been pushed back, my colleague Niharika Nanda talks to the Indian Express's Sophia Matthew, who reported on the story.
Sophia, we know that there have been efforts in the past to take end-of-life vehicles off the road, right? So what's different about this particular fuel ban? How is it supposed to help achieve that goal?
So the end-of-life vehicles, which are overage vehicles, diesel vehicles older than 10 years and petrol vehicles older than 15 years, these are supposed to not ply on roads and based on court orders, they're supposed to be deregistered. So there have been, while rules before, there was no measure as such to deny fuel to these vehicles. So this is a new step in that way. and the Commission for Air Quality Management in NCR and adjoining areas, which comes under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. That body has directed to deny fuel in a phased manner. First in Delhi, according to its initial directives in April, it had instructed the Delhi government to implement this ban on July 1st, and then the ban would be enforced in 5 NCR districts and later on at rest of the NCR by April next year. So that was the initial plan. And the main intention behind the plan is to control transport emissions.
And this fuel ban, it was just implemented in certain specific parts of the capital, right?
Yes, Niharika. So once the fuel ban a directive was passed through an April order by the CAQM, it mentioned that on July 1st, the implementation, the ban should begin in entire Delhi. And then by November 1st this year, it would be expanded to 5 high vehicle density districts of the NCR, which have been identified as Gurugram, Faridabad, Ghaziabad, Gautam Budh Nagar, and Sonipat. So these 5 NCR districts would see a ban, but as we speak today, there has been an update, and from the entire Delhi and these particular districts would see a ban in a unified manner from November 1st.
And Sophia, what methods did the government use to track these ELVs?
Right, Niharika. That's an important question because as we know that this fuel ban in itself is a first of a kind measure that Delhi government took under the centre's instructions. So the entire ban was enacted with the help of a technological system which made use of ANPR cameras. So ANPR cameras is basically automatic number plate recognition camera system. These cameras can scan the vehicle number plates in real time, and they basically cross-check the data that is already there in the Vahan registry. Vahan is a national vehicle database. So basically, if a vehicle that qualifies as an ELV or which does not have a valid pollution under control certificate would be detected in real time by ANPR cameras, and based on the plan, the ANPR cameras would then be able to send an audio alert. And this audio alert would trigger the fuel pump operators and the staff and also the vehicle owner. And there was also a massive team, like more than 300 teams of various officials from Transport Department, Delhi Traffic Police, and the Municipal Corporation of Delhi, which were deployed across all the pumps. Delhi has a massive network of fuel stations, we know. It has 498 fuel stations, according to what the CAQM had informed us. In all these 498 fuel stations, there were these ANPR cameras that were set up. So all these officials, their teams were deployed for round-the-clock monitoring in these petrol pumps. And according to the directives that the CAQM had given, these teams were supposed to, were authorized to take immediate action whenever a vehicle is identified as an end-of-life vehicle. And the instructions were to impound the vehicle and initiate scrapping, under the RVSF rules, which is the Registered Vehicle Scrapping Facility rules that we have under the Ministry of Transport and Highways.
Right. And Sophia, this policy came into effect on 1st of July, but it was only followed for a couple of days because then Majinder Singh Sirsa, Delhi's environment minister, urged the CAQM to hit pause on the policy. Why was that?
So that's a very interesting development. So once the ban was enforced in Delhi from July 1st, we've noted that 80 vehicles in precise were impounded and 98 vehicles were issued notices on day 1. But slowly, like by day 3, this number became 0. So the reason was that by day 3, we saw the Delhi Environment Minister Manjinder Singh Sirsa had written a letter to the CAQM citing that, there are technical concerns and infrastructural and operational concerns to actually enforce this ban on ground. Now, in the several issues that he had listed, he mentioned that the ANPR cameras are faulty in many pumps, and he mentioned that the speakers are not functioning. The system is not able to detect many vehicles, and also the cameras are placed incorrectly. So these are some of the points that he had mentioned. He also mentioned that there's also a lot of people who are going to the border areas to get their vehicles fueled. So it's just increasing a risk of cross-border fueling. So what the environment minister said in the letter was he put out an appeal to CAQM asking whether this could be immediately put on halt, and he suggested whether this ban could be enforced along with the neighboring districts so that there's no loopholes when enacting this ban. Even the Delhi chief minister had, on the same day, July 3rd, said that she had in fact put out a post on X stating that it's affecting livelihood of lakhs of people in Delhi. The chief minister was also suggesting that lifting the ban would be a necessary measure.
You mentioned that the Delhi chief minister said that lifting this ban was necessary at this point because it was affecting the livelihood of many people. Could you elaborate on that and tell us what kind of an impact this is likely to have?
So before enforcing such a ban, they had conducted several press conferences. The CAQM had conducted press conferences twice or thrice, and they had made it very clear that this needs to reach out to the public. But in fact, Niharika, already these vehicles, which are classified as end-of-life vehicles, are banned or they cannot ply on roads. So it's just a matter of implementing the decision in a very stringent manner. Even the officials have pointed that this is just a way to ensure that the ban that has been there is implemented in a stringent and it's executed in a proper manner.
And Sophia, now its implementation, like we mentioned earlier, has been deferred to 1st of November. But this ban actually stems from a Supreme Court verdict, right? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Actually, the matter came up in NGT, the National Green Tribunal, first. So the National Green Tribunal had been hearing pleas related to the air pollution crisis in the capital. There was a petition filed in the NGT by a young environmental lawyer, then Vardhaman Kaushik. So in that, basically, the matter of how air pollution has caused serious health concerns among residents and everything was discussed during the hearings and everything. So the NGT in 2014 had said vehicles which are older than 15 years should not be plying in Delhi, plying on the roads. And much later in April 2015, in an order, NGT also said about diesel vehicles, which are 10 years or older, should also be banned. Then the Supreme Court order, which came up in 2018, it just upheld the NGT order because in between there were also appeals put forth in the court against the order. So finally, the Supreme Court did not entertain such appeals and they decided that these end-of-life vehicles should be immediately flagged by the transport departments and any such vehicle identified should be impounded.
And Sophia, with all these efforts being made, the question is, will this measure actually help curb the problem of air pollution in Delhi?
So, according to experts, liquidation of such vehicles is going to help, especially the CAQM has said it repeatedly in its meetings and discussions and as well as in its directives that, vehicular pollution needs to be addressed in order to tackle the air pollution crisis that Delhi faces every year. But experts are also divided in this matter because we've seen that prominent think tanks like Center for Science and Environment, CSC, they had come out with a report quite recently about dealing with overaged vehicles, etc. So their suggestion was that their stance has been that age should not be a reliable proxy for emissions. Instead, the more robust mechanism could be to track the pollution under control norms and all of that. So experts have recommended clean fuels, emission-based testing, then more investment in public transport, increasing last mile connectivity. These are some of the points that repeatedly think tanks like CSC have highlighted.
And in the end, we shift our focus to Gujarat's bridge collapse. Yesterday, in Gujarat's Vadodara district, a bridge collapse resulted in the deaths of at least 10 people and injuries to several others. The Gambhira bridge, located in Mujpur and Padra Taluka, collapsed suddenly, causing multiple vehicles to plunge into the Mahisagar River. As reported by the Indian Express's Aditi Raja, the 43-year-old bridge served as a crucial link between central Gujarat and Saurashtra. According to district officials, the bridge had undergone repairs the previous year. Anil Dhamelia, district collector of Vadodara, said that 2 trucks, an eco-van, a pickup van and an auto rickshaw were on the bridge when the collapse occurred. Videos from the site showed a tanker left hanging precariously on the broken section. Raja notes that Dhamelia confirmed that 10 individuals had died and 9 others had been rescued. Of those rescued, 5 sustained non-grievous injuries and were treated at a local hospital. 2 critically injured individuals were undergoing further medical care. He added that rescue efforts were ongoing and that it remained unclear whether 2 motorcycles on the bridge at the time also fell into the river. The Vadodara District Fire and Emergency Services, along with the National Disaster Response Force, were deployed for rescue operations. The Vadodara CBN unit of the NDRF sent teams equipped with deep water divers to assist at the site. Raja further reports that Praveen Chaudhary, District Collector of Anand, said the Anand District Administration has also deployed 3 fire tenders and police units to assist on the opposite side of the bridge. The cause of the collapse has not been officially determined. Dhamelia stated that executive engineers from the Road and Bridges Department were en route to inspect the site and would assess the bridge's structural condition after rescue operations concluded. You were listening to 3 Things by The Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by Niharika Nanda and me, Ichha Sharma. If you like the show, do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast. You can also recommend it to someone you think may like it, with a friend or in your family. This is the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcast or write to us at podcast@indianexpress.com.